didn't expect you to come back here. Oh, no. Please come in. That's not what I meant. Sorry, I simply meant that. Well, I'm a vampire. You're aware, no? And the reason you were here the first time was because of a vampire attacking you. So I can imagine you don't feel too comfortable around my kind. Plus, when you were staying with me to recover, you seemed like you couldn't wait to finally be out of my apartment. It's been a few months since I saw you, so I thought I was right in my assumptions. Oh? So I got it wrong, you say? That's most certainly true. There's good and bad in every race. As there are good humans and bad humans, there are good vampires and bad vampires. Judging all of them because your first encounter was with a bad one isn't right. I agree with that. And in the end, when the time is right, one should always try to get to know the other side. But considering that your first experience with a vampire was quite the traumatic one, and taking into account that up till that point you thought we didn't even exist, I'd have thought you needed much more time than just a few months. I see. Well, I guess that's true too. I'm very honored you're putting your trust in me then. Oh, right. We're still standing in the hallway. Silly me. Let's sit down before we continue talking. I imagine that will be much more comfortable. So tell me, what leads you back here? You wanted to thank me for taking care of you? Huh. Well, in that case, you're very... What's that? A gift basket? Well, thank you. That's very kind. You really didn't have to. I've most certainly never gotten one of those. Oh, how did you know? That these sweets are my favorite. I'll be sure to savor them. And yes, coffee is always good. One would think when sleeping the whole day you can't be tired, but God, without it I'm a wreck, truly. Yes, we vampires do sleep during the day and are awake during the night. But not because the sun hurts us, or some other silly reason like that. Humans can really be quite creative sometimes. It's just our sleep cycle. Like yours is that of sleeping during the night and being awake during the day. It's biology. You get tired when it's dark because the lack of light makes your body produce the needed hormones to sleep. For vampires, it's just the other way around. Simple, isn't it? Of course. Any questions you have, you may ask. If there's anything I don't want to answer, I'll simply say so. The vampire from that night. No, I don't know them. I don't often socialize with others of my kind, especially not the ones that hurt others just because they have the means to do so. Oh, it was in no way necessary. There's willing donors for vampires to feed on. Animals are fine too. And we don't need blood. Not desperately enough to attack innocents. Even if we wait too long in between feedings, there's solutions set in place just for emergencies like that. What do I mean with waiting too long? Well, we've already talked a little about how blood isn't a necessity like food or sleep, yes? And while that's true, it's a little hard to explain what the craving of blood is like for vampires. I don't think there's anything you can really compare to it. We definitely don't need it at the frequency that we do food. We actually don't need it to survive at all, but we need it to be comfortable, I suppose. Yes, I think that fits it very well. It's something nice, something calming. Without it, we don't feel quite ourselves. There's different rates at which each individual vampire needs it, but one thing is the same for everyone. Whether you feed every few days, every few weeks, once a month, or 5 times a year. If you go without blood for longer than you're used to, it shows. You grow restless. You're more aggressive or more anxious. Everyone that knows you will notice. Saying it like this sounds a little like vampires without blood are like addicts without their drugs. Maybe that's what it truly is. We're all just addicted to drugs. Anyways, so that's what happens when a vampire doesn't feed in a long time. And because it's very known, there are plans for emergencies, so that the public doesn't have to deal with unreasonably aggressive beings. These plans are ingrained into every vampire's head from when they are first turned, because acting out means drawing attention to yourself and really having the public find out that the fairy tales are actually true. Well, we've already had that not too many centuries ago. None of us would like a repeat of that. So we keep it low, blend in. The emergency plans? Well, there's blood centers. That's the last minute plan, really. You can go in there at any hour, at any day, and they'll have blood ready for you. You'll get written down, though that's really just to ensure that the centers are actually just used for emergencies, not as blood banks you can go to get free blood when you're feeling lazy. Then there's hooking up with a donor. There's enough of them out there, you really have no idea. So finding someone that's willing to meet up doesn't take more than a few hours. Most of the time you can meet up the very same day. And if you can find one, and you're not anywhere close to a blood center because you're out in the wilderness, or God knows where, then there's still animals. That one I'm always a little unsure about because, well, animals can't really consent, and being fed on can be quite the scary experience when you don't know what's going on, but it's not painful in any way, and it doesn't harm them. And really, when you're far from civilization, it's the only option you have. So, as you can see, there's enough options for vampires that haven't fed in a long time. Not doing anything about your hunger is your own choice. And when you continue waiting, there's still not a point where you just get so aggressive you lose all sense of morality. Being hungry is in no way an excuse to attack anyone. Making someone feel afraid on purpose, hurting them, toying with their emotions, that's just wrong. Some weird kink of theirs. God, I don't know. I'm sure I don't really want to either. Now, sorry about that. Let's continue. What other questions do you have, dear?